What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Altitude Show. I'm your host, Dave Brinker. This is Elevation Journal number 13. I've been off the grid here for about 10 days. I'm glad to be back. The Altitude Show is presented by Mountain Tough Fitness. If you want to change your life, you're a backcountry hunter, or you're just somebody that wants to get in shape, I haven't found a better way than since I joined this team. It's a pretty amazing program. The cool thing about it is that they have levels for everybody. So the true Mountain Tough program, which a good example of that is this backcountry prep program they just launched, which is a 16-week program to get you in shape for hunting season. That is challenging, but I highly encourage, if you're a hunter, you should do it. But if you're someone that doesn't work out, you just want to kind of get started, they have their on-ramp program. If you're somebody that doesn't have a lot of gear, you can do their minimum gear daily. They do. Usually you only need like a pull-up bar, maybe a box, maybe a dumbbell. I love it. I've never been in better shape. I totally have a different perspective on fitness since I started working with these guys. You can use my code Dave at mountaintough.com and get 10% off your membership. Again, that's Dave. 16 weeks, guys, until hunting season in most states. 16 weeks, which means you better get started right now. All right. Well, I'm freshly back from Mexico. Had an amazing time. It's been a nice little break. Before I left, I put out the episode with Randy Newberg. I hope you guys have all got a chance to listen to it. I thought it turned out pretty awesome. Randy is so full of wisdom. I love talking to him. I've done many podcasts with Randy. I've known him for years. The last time I had him on the show, we talked mostly about entrepreneurship, financial management, life, his history, stuff like that. This show, we talked more about hunting and, strategy, the future of hunting. We debated some things. We had a great conversation. And I'm always reminded about how involved Randy is. He gets a lot of hate for how open he is about sharing information, for example. But I don't think he gets enough praise for the conservation work that he does and the policy work that he does. I don't personally know anybody that's more involved in actually making change than he is. Now, you may not always agree with his stances. Sometimes I don't. But at least he's involved, and I think all of us can learn something from that. I know I can. It's pretty impressive. And I actually appreciate the fact that he shares the information that he does. People that share information, as we've talked about many times on this show, are providing value to other people, and we need more hunters. The hunters are not growing, as common wisdom may tell you. We need more hunters. It's actually shrinking. And there's a lot of fights right now. We need more people to be involved, and we really can't do that unless we have a strong team. So Randy is an amazing guy. You should absolutely go listen to that podcast, and you can watch it on YouTube too if you haven't. All right. So what I wanted to talk about today is a little bit of one little history thing with me, and then I'll kind of tie it back into the actual point of why I'm telling you this. So not a lot of people know this. When I was in Mexico, I played golf the whole time. I used to be a golfer. I grew up golfing. I was a competitive golfer. I was a state champion. I used to be pretty damn good at it. But when I got hired at Sitka, I kind of quit. I was a teaching pro, giving lessons and stuff like that. I wasn't good enough to go on tour or anything like that, but I was pretty good. And when I started working at Sitka, I quit because obviously that was a dream job, and I pursued it with everything I had. The reason I'm bringing that up is it reminded me of how hunting has always been my number one priority outside of family and friends. And it has trumped everything in my life. And I posted something about that, including golf. I literally pulled out of like a pretty major tournaments multiple times because they were always in like August and September. And I used to take a lot of shit for it. So when I was golfing in Mexico, I started to remember all these things. I'd kind of forgotten about them. And when I got back, I posted on Instagram about how there's not one day that goes by that I don't think about September. There's not one day that goes by that I don't do something to get ready, whether that's, applying for tags or updating my gear or shooting my bow or exercising or just having a conversation with a buddy, planning a trip. It consumes my mind all year. And I posted that on Instagram and I got some messages from people that are like, man, no one ever talks about that. I feel the same way. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit because it's hard to understand if you're not in that boat. Now, it may not be hunting. It may be some other hobby that you have that you're just absolutely obsessed with. But I've missed weddings. I've missed funerals. I've missed birthdays. I've quit jobs. I've broke up with girlfriends. I've skipped school. Got horrible grades. I had a 1.8 in high school. I've missed huge life opportunities. I've lost money. I've hurt my body. I've hurt people. I've caused fights. I've been criticized, critiqued, judged in every way my whole life for this. They say, how could you ever miss a wedding or a birthday or quit a job for hunting? Why? That's just something you should do like 5 days a year. You take a vacation for a few days and that's all you need, And the answer is no, that's not what it is to me. I'm not a weekend hunter. I'm not a 1 week a year hunter. It's something that I've actually integrated it into my entire life, like every aspect of my life, from my home life to my professional life, is tied to the outdoors and hunting in some way, shape, or form. It's not a hobby. It's an obsession. It's a huge part of my life and who I am. And there's, again, not one day that goes by where I don't think about it. And it's not a choice. It's a requirement. If I don't do it, I'm not mentally healthy. And I actually wrote a song about this if you want to listen to it. It's called Altitude. But it's a weird friction because I love being home with my family, and there's nothing that I love more, but I can't love that unless I get away from it and get out in the mountains and I'm alone and have that solitude. And then you come back and you just love being home even more. It's like this yin and yang thing. I don't know. But since I've had that attitude or obsession my whole life, I've had to fight for it a lot. Ever since I was young, like even in high school, and I was skipping school. I didn't play football or fall sports, and my friends thought that was crazy. Like I said, I'd quit jobs. So if you relate to what I just said, there's just a couple things I wanted to say to you specifically. And again, this doesn't have to be hunting. It can be something else. But number one is you have to fight for it. You have to be willing to fight for it. You have to be willing to kind of stand out in the crowd. And you have to be willing to feel like an outsider, like people don't understand you. That's hard to do because, especially when we're young, you want to fit in. And I get that. It can feel a little awkward. I felt weird for not playing football. All my buddies played football. And maybe I could have been okay at it. I don't know. But my priority was going elk hunting in September. And that was really hard for people to swallow. Therefore, they try to bring you into the comfort zone. People, when you get out of your comfort zone and you kind of like, challenge the norm, people don't like that. They want to bring you back in because it makes them feel uncomfortable about their decisions. And that's just one anecdotal example. But if you have this level of obsession with something, you are going to have that happen every day for the rest of your life. People can't another anecdotal example. People can't understand how I've been able to tie every business that I have or that I'm involved with hunting and or the outdoors. They think, oh yeah, you got lucky. You must have stumbled into that. No, I purposely built almost everything in my life to accommodate my passion. And it doesn't mean that every aspect of my professional life I love doing, but it does mean that hunting is integrated into everything. And I did that. I chose to do that. I fought for that. I missed a lot of stuff to do that. I made that choice. It wasn't handed to me. I made that choice and I fought for it, and I ignored people's feelings about it. So you got to fight for it. The other thing I said there is, if you really want to sort of make it a little bit easier on yourself to spend more time doing this thing, you integrate it into your life as opposed to separate it from your life. Some people try to like if you're really obsessed with like a hobby, let's say you're a musician and you want to you like your dream is just to play music. And let's for this example, let's say you're younger, you don't have kids or a wife or a lot of responsibilities yet. Well, then do it. Like integrate it into every part of your life. Go get a job at a publishing company or a record label, or move to Nashville and work in the top honky tonk, serving drinks, meeting all the musicians. Go get a job at like uh, a listening room, the Bluebird Cafe. Like integrate yourself, like integrate it into every part of your life. Date someone else that likes music or at least appreciates it and loves it. Et cetera, et cetera, as opposed to treating it something like on my vacations, I go listen to music or I go play music on the weekends or I go hunting 5 days a year. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you really want to take it to the next level and, integrate it into your life, you have to kind of fight to put it in all the aspects of your life, you know, and that boils down to even like your space, your home. Like I look around me right now, and I've had to fight to have my taxidermy in my space. Not everybody loves taxidermy. Taxidermy. Not everybody wants to see a bunch of dead animals in a room. I like my heads, so I integrated them into my office. I integrate, where we live, where I can shoot my bow. Like every little decision that I make is some way tied to making sure that that passion can be some way accommodated. Then it makes it a little easier for you to actually do it because it's integrated into your life. So if you really want to do that, especially it's a little harder as you get older, you have more responsibilities. Maybe it's something new that you've stumbled upon that you want to try to integrate in your life. Then it's just a slower process. You just step by step integrate it more and more in your life. And that brings me to the third point, which is you need to seek community and like-minded people. The wonderful thing about hunting is there is a very potent community of like when I go to a hunting event, like let's just call it like Total Archery Challenge or like maybe one of the shows, I can talk to just about anybody and feel like I've known them my whole life because they share the same core that I do. It may be a different, like maybe they're not elk hunters, maybe they're whitetail hunters or turkey hunters or whatever hunters, but the core of what they're about is basically the same. It doesn't even matter where they live. I can talk to people from all over the world, like, and feel like I've known them my whole life. Seek that community for whatever it is that you're obsessed about, whether that's joining a club or, whatever, taking a class or an online forum, a private group on Facebook, whatever. Maybe it's buying a plane ticket and going to a convention and just diving in deep. But there is a way to find the community you're seeking and to really connect with people. And that will lead to opportunities to further integrate it into your life. And that will also make it, you'll have less battles fighting for it because everybody else is kind of looking at life the same way, right? So seek that community. So the three things are you got to fight for it, you want to integrate it, and you want to seek that community. When you do those three things, it's going to be your life is going to be, it's going to have a bit more purpose, at least on the hobby side or the recreational side, which I do feel a lot of people need. We need something like this. We need something that takes us out of the craze, and especially if it's something outside that you like to do, that connection to nature is extremely important for physical and mental health. So I'd highly recommend it. I've been so blessed to have hunting in my life. I wasn't a very smart guy, but because of hunting and because of all the things that I've talked about, I've been able to build a life that I'm proud of. And if I got hit by a bus today, I'd be proud of what I've lived and the experiences I've had and the life that I've built. So I know that I'm lucky that I found that early in life, thanks to my parents and my dad's friends. And they started taking me hunting when I was in diapers. I know that I'm lucky. I'm very fortunate. Some people haven't found that, but if you can find something that that really gets your blood moving, do those things, and I hope it helps. So with that said, I have some awesome episodes coming your way, folks. Apologize for the break, but I needed a brain break. As you're planning your hunts this year, by the way, hunters, there's a lot of draws coming out right now. One of my buddies just drew a sheep tag, which is freaking awesome. Make sure that you're doing your research. There's no excuse not to have your shit pretty buttoned up by the time the season happens. I do all my research on gohunt.com, whether that be researching drawing odds or units or trophy breakdowns or just the newest and greatest gear. You can do it, a lot of it, right there on that website. And so if you haven't joined as an insider, make sure you do that. And when you do it, use my code Altitude. You'll get 20% off. You can also buy the latest and greatest gear in their gear shop for 20% off with my code Altitude, which is pretty rad. So you don't need to buy gear anywhere else. If you need to go buy some hunting gear, go on the Go Hunt shop and buy whatever you want for 20% off with the code Altitude. Randy has a new class out on Outdoor Class about pronghorn hunting, and we talk about that in the podcast that I did with him. He said antelope hunting is the best or the most economical. It's the most bang for your buck if you're looking to come out west and go on a hunt. So, and I tend to agree with him, and he did a whole class on it, and it sounds rad. I haven't gone through the class yet, but we talked about the aspects of it, and I learned some things. So go to outdoorclass.com and sign up with my code Altitude, get 20% off, and or go through Randy's pronghorn class. All right, guys, subscribe to our YouTube. Show comes out this Monday with Phil Kornichuk, who is a former Army Ranger, Green Beret, Special Ops, 12 deployments, 8 kids. He works he has a leadership course that he takes people through now. He's not in the military anymore, but he's really, really a fascinating person and has seen the world and has done things that most of us will never do. It was a really good conversation. That will come out Monday morning, and I hope you enjoy it. I'll see you all next week. Thanks.